Hi, everyone. Today I'm looking back on a division race that was one of my favorites in baseball. I know I had personal bias in this, but still, there was a terrific race way back in 2003 in the National League Central Division between the Cubs, represented by this Kerry Wood starting lineup, the Houston Astros. Yes, they used to be a National League team. This is a Jeff Bagwell starting lineup. And the Cardinals. This is a Jim Edmonds starting lineup. And these three teams were neck and neck most of the season. The Cubs had a bit of a slump in July and actually, if I remember right, fell a little bit below 500 but didn't give up, acquiring players like Aramis Ramirez and Kenny Lofton from the Pittsburgh Pirates at the trade deadline. And in part because of those acquisitions, the Cubs got back in the race. And in early September, in a big series, the Cubs took 4 of 5 from the Cardinals. There was a doubleheader included. And that all but eliminated the Cardinals from the race. But the Astros stayed tough. In fact, them and the Cubs were in a flat-footed tie entering the last 3 days of the season. And I put them next to each other to illustrate that. The Astros were facing the last-place Milwaukee Brewers, and the Cubs were facing the aforementioned Pirates the last weekend. Adding to the drama was that the first game of the series between the Cubs and the Pirates was rained out, meaning the two teams would have to play a doubleheader the next to last day of the season. And with the Astros playing last-place Milwaukee, didn't look great for this Cubs fan. But then Milwaukee clobbered Houston 12-5 in the first game of their series, giving the Cubs a half-game lead entering their doubleheader against Pittsburgh the next to last day of the season. Before the first game of the Cubs doubleheader finished, Houston lost again to Milwaukee, this time by a score of 5-2. So Houston had fallen a bit behind the Cubs, and in fact, if the Cubs swept the doubleheader against Pittsburgh the next to last day of the season, they would be division champs. Well, the Cubs held off a late rally by Pittsburgh in the first game of the doubleheader to win 4-2, putting them just 1 win away from clinching the NL Central. And sweeping doubleheaders is certainly hard in Major League Baseball, no matter who teams are playing. But in the second game of the doubleheader, the Cubs broke out to an early 6-0 lead and cruised to a 7-2 victory to clinch the NL Central. It was the first time the Cubs had been to the playoffs since 1998, and the first time they'd won a division since 1989. I was ecstatic that night. Just blown away the Cubs had found a way to get it done. Like most Cubs fans, I was used to seeing the opposite happen, the Cubs finding a way to blow it, but at least in the regular season of 2003, they did not. As a 19-year-old, and a Cub fan, I was happy as ever. And the good vibes continued for the Cubs. They beat a very tough Atlanta Braves team that had won its 12th of 14 straight NL East titles or division titles in the division series. Then the Cubs ran into the Cinderella Florida Marlins in the National League Championship Series. Had a 3-1 lead, and that's when times got tough. Josh Beckett blew them away in Game 5. Cut the gap to 3-2. Then, of course, Game 6, as most Cub fans remember. A guy named Steve Bartman interfering with a foul ball Moises Alou could have caught. Which wasn't the only reason the Cubs fell apart. Mark Pryor, a great pitcher, was left in a little too long in that game, and Alex Gonzalez booting his sure double play ground ball. Just a lot went wrong for the Cubs in Game 6, and of course the Cubs, despite a home run by this guy, Kerry Wood, lost Game 7, while the Marlins not only went to the World Series, they won it as well in a 6-game set over the New York Yankees. Still, as tough as it was to see the Cubs lose the NLCS to the Marlins, I still have very fond memories of 2003, how the Cubs hung in there, fought hard, and won a division title I personally would take that over finishing 5th or 6th in a league any day. I know I'm taking a shot at current state of baseball and current state of sports, but I'm just old-fashioned. I like finishing first, and that's what the Cubs did in 2003, and that made the 03 Cubs season my favorite season until, of course, 2016, when the Cubs won the whole thing, won the World Series for the first time since 1908. Cubs and Astros and Cardinals put together quite a division race in the NL Central in 2003. And it would be in 03 would be the last time the Cubs would make the playoffs till 07. But certainly they gave me a run to remember in 03. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Good day, everyone.